Hello everyone. Sorry, I gotta go back. My thing's been acting up. So, this is a little different. I was requested to do some of these. A little darker. These are TikTokers who captured their final moments. Doesn't sound pleasant. So if you don't want to watch it, I get it. Everyone else, you know what you're getting into. We're going to start it a little different. There's a thanks button on the channel. You can donate. You don't have to. You can request videos. Subscribe if you aren't. That helps. If you don't want to do that, it's fine. You know, a lot of people who watch the videos aren't subscribed. And click the bell if you do subscribe. And if you don't want to do anything else, just give me a thumbs up. That helps. Everything else, not needed. Let's get into the video.
On February 17th of...
Sorry, I just also wanted to point out, this is a new channel, Pixels After Dark. I've never done this one before. That I don't think I have. So, just pointing that out.
2021, a little girl by the name Felicia Konishuk would post a message to her TikTok profile. Typically, she would post fun, child-related content to a small following. However, that day, her post couldn't be any more harrowing and serious.
Привет, у меня сейчас жесть история. У нас там сосед, он пьяный. Он, короче, стучится на дверь, всю ломает нафиг. Он уже несколько минут здесь стоит, стучится, орёт, матерится. Я просто вне страшно.
On a day when her father left to visit the local shops, their neighbor began to knock on the door. Felicia, being alone with their youngest brother, refused to answer. However, the knocks were persistent and aggressive. The only thing she thought to do was to post to TikTok to hopefully spread awareness of the situation and potentially get help if needed.
Why didn't she call her father or, like, just call the police? Is the guy drunk? I don't know why I'm asking you.
Felicia would then go on to say that these knocks continued for over an hour. It should also be noted that maintenance men were working on the home during this interaction. However, they ignored the knocks as they felt it wasn't their business to address a visitor. Why Felicia didn't bring her worries to them, I'm not sure. Soon, the knocks would stop, and Felicia would get a message from her friend asking if she wanted to go to the park in hopes of feeling safe with fellow company. Relieved, she quickly said yes and waited for her friend. During this time, Felicia's father would arrive home, and after hearing a soft knock on the door, Felicia would answer, only to be greeted in fear by the neighbor.
I'm going to go back, but that knock felt like it was right over here. Sorry. Okay.
Felicia would answer, only to be greeted in fear by the neighbor. In a swift attempt to close the door, Felicia was shot numerous times. Her father quickly ran to his daughter's side, and after screaming at the maintenance worker to call for help, listened to his daughter's final words. "Dad, I have been killed." The neighbor in question was a 33-year-old man named Vasily Donets. According to Felicia's father, the two were typically in good standings. However, recent arguments regarding noise complaints left their relationship tense. This was likely the catalyst for Vasily's torment on the children that day, and the reason for Felicia's demise. This shooting occurred only 15 minutes after she posted her last TikTok.
I hope that 33-year-old guy is alive in jail and getting raped profusely.
22-year-old Gan Suzhang lived the dream that many aspire, to be a social media influencer. At first, he simply would document his experiences in different parts of the world, capturing different cultures and fascinating customs. These videos would solely be for his own collection, however this would soon change. His worldwide adventure would be halted once he landed in Africa, not because of any financial or technical issue, but because he fell in love with the continent. He bonded with the locals and found immense joy in immersing himself in their livelihood. He soon found a girlfriend, and after capturing some videos of the local food, had an idea. What if he posted all these videos to social media? Gan created a TikTok account called Chubby Goes to Africa, where him and his girlfriend would travel across Africa to try different foods and talk with locals in the area. The idea was an immediate success, and it wasn't long before his account would take off. Soon he built a social media team and enjoyed the lifestyle of traveling across Africa to an audience of about 5 million people. With this type of fame comes those who follow. Some of Gan's fans would become friends and join Gan in his adventure across the continent. They would each develop their own social media following because of this, and for the most part, every team member was more than happy with this sporadic fame. All except for one. 32-year-old Feng Zhangyang was a member of this content group. He was friends with everybody, however his personality didn't quite mesh well with the others. Gan was typically known to be a very charismatic, comfortable person to be around. Part of this is likely what influenced his success, however Feng was quite the opposite. People have been found noting that interacting with Feng was often awkward, making them uncomfortable when creating content for TikTok. Despite this though, Gan still encouraged Feng to continue. However, as tensions between the group rose, Feng was unfortunately let go. While you might think that this would cause an altercation between the two, Feng was surprisingly understanding. He departed from the group and continued to make content on his own, showing moderate success and traveling across the world in a similar fashion as Gan. Everyone's relationship seemed beautiful. However, it wouldn't be long before tensions would rise once again. According to Feng, when Gan was traveling to China to visit family, he gave Gan roughly $1,500 to purchase him an iPhone, as doing so in Africa was impossible. Gan agreed, however after returning, no iPhone was bought and the money Feng sent him was not returned. There is no confirmation to the legitimacy of this story, however Gan would choose not to address the situation. Feng would continue to make claims against Gan and his team, saying that they sent virus-infested meals to his home and destroyed property that Feng owned. I initially wanted to believe Gan, as there was no evidence to back Feng's claims. However, on a trip to Nepal, Feng's hometown, Gan made a comment saying, "I've come to beat him up." During the trip to Nepal, on December 4th of 2022, Gan would go live one last time, where he traveled through the streets of Nepal, unknowing what lurked within the shadows.
后来呀，这后边在前面，不让他的来在前面。网红酸奶吗？哪里有网红酸奶？这个好喝吗？我也不知道。就在前面。
Merely a second after this moment, screams can be heard. Feng would sneak up behind Gan and stab him numerous times in the back and stomach. Slain in the middle of Nepal's streets, Feng wouldn't flee the scene, but would instead stay by Gan's dying body and scold him. He wanted to ensure that in Gan's final moments, even he would know who had won. In the days that followed, Feng would be arrested by the authorities and taken into custody following the murder.
There are times when you have a very charismatic, charming personality, and people will flock to that. And there are some people who are more quiet, but that is what they want. You know, they want that attention. They want that. I don't know. You know, Feng has a different personality than Gan. It happens. whatever led to that, it should have never went that far. I think Gon should have kind of taken it upon himself in a way to work with him, even if he wasn't a part of everything. Work with him instead of just distancing him. But to make that comment, I'm going to go to Nepal to beat him up. It's like, even if you're joking out of context, that does not look good. I'm not saying it's his fault, but if Fang heard that or read that, he might have taken it seriously. And so he was, defending himself, even though he wasn't. He sought him out. But, he was defending himself in that manner. That's just I don't know how I feel. I mean, the first one is completely, but this one is a little different. Yeah. And by saying it's difficult, I'm not saying that I'm glad one guy was killed and the other guy's in jail. No, neither. It shouldn't have went that far, period. That's what I'm saying.
Harrison Gilks, a Canadian teenager, got diagnosed with a rare cancer known as rhabdomyosarcoma at only the young age of 16. It wasn't until 2 years later that he would find out his cancer was terminal. However, instead of wasting his final years depressed and alone, he decided to do something inspiring.
I'd like to make a little series called maybe like bucket list series. I'm gonna go out and do a bunch of stuff that I've always wanted to do. I'm not sure what yet. Maybe skydiving or just stuff along those lines.
Harrison posted a TikTok about his cancer and his dreams of completing as many bucket list activities as he could in the little time he had left. This TikTok grew exponentially fast and kickstarted the overwhelming support behind his goal of making his last years some of his best. Thanks to many donations, Harrison quickly began going on many adventures, both on the ground and in the sky. During this time, he would update his fans on his health and even express some encouraging news, stating that the tumors in his lungs and prostate stopped growing.
There's also a scan where the big tumor in my prostate stopped growing for now, and the ones in my lungs have only grown a little bit.
He continued to gather more life experiences, and his audience watched the date as Harrison's 18th birthday was approaching. This milestone would be monumental. Harrison was able to see his 18th birthday. However, on October 21st, the day he turned 18, social media heard nothing. People understood that this must be a very special and sensitive moment. However, they began to get a little concerned when no update was posted throughout the following weeks. Harrison pretty much went MIA for an entire month until November 17th, when he returned to TikTok with some unfortunate news.
That's my birthday.
So the chemo I did all summer, it didn't really work. Tumor kept progressing, and it's gotten a little bigger, and it spread to my hip too.
The cancer wasn't looking good. It was growing and, even worse, spreading. The clock was ticking, and Harrison gave his final push towards his bucket list. In the next 3 months, Harrison would travel all across the globe, enjoying tours of the mountain peaks to the beaches of Cancun. He spent quality time with his family, his friends, and even got to meet multiple members of his favorite hockey team. Harrison is one of the purest reminders I've seen to keep your head high and live life to its fullest. On March 22nd of 2023, Harrison would take to TikTok one last time. This was his final message.
Chances of me going home, very slim. So I'll be in the hospital for probably the remainder of whatever time I get left. Pray for me and my family. It's been a great ride with you guys on the bucket list. I love you guys. Thank you for all the support throughout everything. Bucket list complete.
Harrison would pass shortly after this.
That one's crushing. I couldn't look. I couldn't look. Mm. 18. I tell you what, though. You find out you have cancer. For me, I have no real bucket list like that. I mean, there are places that I would go back to. But for me, like, my enjoyment would just be watching movies, playing video games, reading, playing with my dogs. Like, that's my joy. I would want to go to, like, Mount Vernon or Andrew Jackson's home, something like that. You know, like, just, again, man, 18.
Inquisitor is just as tragic as any other entry in this list. Unlike the others, however, it's not a display of unfortunate circumstance, nor a crossfire between two colliding parties. This is an example of how even the best decisions don't guarantee the best life. Inquisitor was a famous TikToker who cosplayed as the character Ghost from the Call of Duty franchise. In the video game, Ghost is most known for his silent and mysterious persona. However, Inquisitor brought his own character to the man behind the mask. He was easygoing, always positive, and remembered to use his following for good and spread kind messages to those watching.
Why are you so splendid?
Around every edge, Inquisitor just seemed like a good guy. Unfortunately for him, however, he didn't account for the evil that often follows with fame. As his audience grew, Inquisitor decided to hire a female editor to help him develop content to keep up with his newfound success. As content began to get pushed out, Inquisitor would continuously compliment the work. He would always mention how it looked fantastic, and would often use the phrase, "I love her." It should be noted that this was said as a friendly gesture, one that he used loose and often with many people. However, in this day and age, Inquisitor should have watched his words a little more carefully. As it turned out, Inquisitor's editor was underage, and saying phrases such as, "I want to marry her," although in context as a compliment towards her editing work, was something that raised suspicion, something that caught up to Inquisitor very quickly. Another TikTok user by the name Tito is Acting Badly released a statement to his large audience of almost 1 million followers that Inquisitor was grooming his girlfriend, the editor that Inquisitor hired. He used out-of-context chat logs and involved the endearing phrases such as "I love you" to spread a rumor that the 17-year-old girl was being groomed by the man in the mask. People quickly turned against Inquisitor, and his brand of a loving and friendly face was now tarnished. In other words, Inquisitor's life as a social media icon was now ruined. Inquisitor would stop posting for several weeks, until October 9th of 2023, where he would change his profile bio to "I want to die." He would then go live a few hours later, where all you could see was a glass door in an empty room. As the live stream continued, rocks would come flying through as Inquisitor's family began to break into his home. No one knew what was going on. However, after the company entered, they began to perform CPR on a body, and at that moment, everybody knew what happened. Inquisitor took his life just off screen from the live stream. After this, evidence began to surface of the master plan that had been in effect for months. Tito, an Inquisitor's editor, were trying to frame Inquisitor of being a predator. Chat logs were leaked between Inquisitor and his editor that showed the young woman trying to form a relationship with Inquisitor. However, she was declined numerous times. At one point, she even lied, stating she wasn't a minor. However, Inquisitor still asked for her to kindly stop talking to him. Chat logs between Tito and the editor even leaked, showing proof that they were trying to gather evidence to tarnish Inquisitor's reputation. Every accusation was a lie, and the world found out about it just when it was too late. Inquisitor was a loving friend that shared his personality to the internet. He spread positive messages and advice to anyone who needed it. He was a good person, someone who found himself in the crosshairs of a malicious evil. Although gone too soon, I'm glad the truth came out, as Inquisitor can now be remembered as the great person he was, and not for the predator he wasn't.
But his way of getting out of it is the worst thing you could do, because it would have come out eventually. You can't hide that stuff. That will come out. But instead, what he did was he took something that he knew he didn't do anything wrong, and he ended his own life, punishing all his friends and family for the rest of their lives. They had to deal with that. That is not the way you handle that. That is the worst way to handle that. Yeah. You know, sorry you're gone, sorry you got lied to, but that wasn't the right way to do it. I don't know who he was, so I'm not on social media. Like, I have a Twitter account. I barely keep up with it. All right. Well, these were a drag. So I'm going to end it here. As for any other requests or anything like that, words were supposed to come out of my mouth there, but I think you know that I was going to say recommend something, and I'll watch it. Until next time, have a good day, have a good night.